All right, we've got a couple viewers already. Just a spontaneous success profile interview for you folks. This is Sean Cornett coming to you here from St. Louis, Missouri. And it is my distinguished honor to, oh, wow, that's a really bright blue light. That's fun. My distinguished honor to have with me executive consultant Jay Emma from Westchester, New York, Pure Energy Award winner, multiple Success from Home features, Ambition featured speaker, and most importantly, he has achieved complete freedom because of Ambit Energy, being full-time, doing what he wants when he wants. So thank you for being with me, Jay. Welcome to the broadcast, my friend.
Sean, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to spend time with you, and we've had some laughs and some meals together, and I enjoy anything we can do together. It's a blessing and a privilege, so thank you.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And for those of you that are live, happen to be live with us right now, if you have any questions as we go along, please toss it into the chat box. Be happy to shout that across to Jay and have him share his thoughts on whatever you'd like to address. One second here. I'm going to pop that chat box out so I can see it easier. But in the meantime, I've got a couple questions, and we're just going to talk with Jay a little bit about his experience with Ambit and you know, some of his advice that he may have for folks out there building an Ambit business. One of the things we talked to, I get a lot, you know, people always want to know the secret, right, Jay?
Yes.
It's like the first thing everybody asks, well, what's the secret to making it big in this business? And you know, funny, one of the things that I've often said, well, the secret is to not do what it is that people do who fail. You know,
Exactly.
do the opposite of those people, right? And
Yes.
you know, we were talking a little bit, and you had something that caught my attention. You talked about what is it? The four. What is it? Go ahead and
The four
intro it a little bit.
The four failure habits. The four habits of failures in Ambit Energy.
The four habits of failure. So the secret in Ambit is to not do these four things.
Correct.
So if you would please, you know, Jay, what's number one on that list from your perspective? Obviously, you've achieved a very high level of success in this business. You've got a unique angle, and you've got a rather large team with some very highly successful, nationally recognized figures in your downline of Ambit. So you've got a unique perspective to identify some commonalities among those people that have failed. What's the number one thing on your list there?
Yes, and you know, and I have a lot of years experience in another network marketing company. I've been observing this industry for over 20 years, even though I'm in Ambit for 6. And I've seen, and to me, there are four things, and it's pretty cut and dry. These are the four habits, the four things that are in common with everybody who doesn't make it in our business. And the first one, should I go through all four?
Yeah, we'll just rock the first one first. What's number one?
The first one is people get in the business with this attitude of, I'm going to try it. Let me try. And so it's try versus do. The people that are successful are very intentional, and they don't know necessarily exactly the path they're going to take. They might not know every single step of the way, but they've determined ahead of time that they're going to make it. So the people that don't make it have this sort of put one foot in kind of a weak approach, and I call it try versus do. That's the number one thing that separates people that make it from people that don't make it.
You know, that's so true. And it's funny, just my quick thought on that. I think that's the difference. That's the one major advantage that I think maybe you and I have, having a background in network marketing. A lot of people have a misnotion of what, you know, the advantage we bring, having an experience in the industry.
Yes.
Of, you know, maybe you know a lot of people already that are ready to jump in with you. And I think that's a common, you know, misnotion. But from my perspective, and I'm curious your thoughts, I think this is it. Is that we know what it takes to succeed is that you've got to go all in. People have to know that you are completely committed. Otherwise, you can't expect someone to follow you. You can't expect somebody to join your business even as a consultant or even as a customer. I mean, people like their electricity. They don't want to get it turned off. So they've got to know that you're committed to this thing. Otherwise it's just, you can't expect someone to join on any aspect of the business.
Yeah, that's if we spoke about nothing else, if there was no other training other than what we just talked about for the past few minutes, that would be enough. And it's that important. And in our business, it's not a matter, skill is important, but not nearly as important as will. Will always trumps skill. And that's what we're talking about here. And you can't measure the will of a human being, which is why we see people with different skill sets and different skill levels. And a lot of times we judge what a person by the cover, but deep down inside, when that person has decided that they're going to make it, nothing's going to stop them from making it. That's what's important. It's really will versus skill. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what's number 2 on your list, Jay?
It's as I shut my phone off here because I have my phone on vibrate now. The second one is they don't build a proper list of names. In getting started, it's okay to start with 20 or 30 or 40 people just to get started. But at some point, you need to schedule some time to have a real strong list of names. That's 100, 200, 300, hundreds of people, even if you don't know their name. Even if a person who works at post office, even if you don't have their phone number. My friend Steve from high school, you might not know their last name. It doesn't matter. You need to have a list of names that's expanding and expanding, and you'll need a system to be able to constantly add notes to it and remind yourself of who to get in touch with and when to get in touch with them. The bigger your dream, the bigger your list of names. So if you have 11 people on your list, initially that's okay, because those 11 people are going to help you get started. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will get started in the business. Maybe a couple of them will become customers. And I don't want to minimize the importance of your first 10 or 12 or 20 names on your list. That's an initial list of names. That's certainly great. But at some point in the business, when you're really ready to take this to the next level, and it could be a couple of days in the business, it could be a month or 2 into the business, when you know you want to make full-time money and achieve freedom, you absolutely need to build a strong list of names, and that means 100, 200, 300, as many people as you possibly can, and you need to just put them on a written, dedicated list that says, my Ambit Energy list of names.
Absolutely. And just to clarify a bit on that point, you kind of talked about 2 levels of the list: the initial list to get you some initial momentum in your business, and then the big list. And one thing I would love to get your thoughts on is how big do you think that initial list should be? Because this is something that I've personally flip-flopped on a lot. I feel like a politician on this issue. Is that how big should you make that first goal for the list? Because too small is obviously a bad thing, because you're not giving yourself enough of a chance of odds to run into some people that are ready to go very quickly.
Yes.
It's got to be big enough to overcome some bad luck, but it can't be so big that it's intimidating. So what do you feel like is the sweet spot there?
I think 10 to 30. And the reason why 10 to 30 is because at least in that initial phone calling session that you're going to do for yourself, you'll be able to reach 1 or 2 or 3 people. And so 10 people minimum, because you want to be able to get your first couple of customers. And 10 out of 10 people, you're only going to be able to reach 4 at any one given time, because the other 6 you're going to go to voicemail. And out of 4 people that you speak to, if you do that in one sitting, you're going to get 1 or 2 positive responses, and that's enough to feel like you can get some results. 10 to 30, because if you're going to reach out to a few people, you want to get the business, you want to find some business builders, they're going to be in that first 30.
Yeah.
And they might not be in the first 10, but they're probably going to be in the first 30. So I think the sweet spot is 10 to 30 based on your sphere of influence, how many people, how easy it is for you to put 10 or 20 or 30 names on a list. So I guess it really depends on how easy it is for you to do that, and how motivated you are to get that initial list of names started. If you're intimidated and you want to just put down the first 10 or 15, 10 or 12 people, that's fine, because that's enough to at least tell people that you're working on a new business project, and just to share with them a couple of ideas of, hey, I could use your support. Would you do me a favor and support me and try the service for a few months? I need to gather a couple of customers. And that's that initial list of people that you're really close with.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that range. I think that 30 could be a little intimidating for somebody to just get started, making calls their first night. but 10 is not. That's a good goal for your first day of work, so to speak, in the business. But one thing that I would follow up with you on that is I do believe 30 is a magical number. I think that if every single person at least didn't even blink, didn't even second guess the idea of whether or not this is going to work for them until they reached out to their first 30 people, that gives enough of a chance of overcoming bad luck. You're going to, like you said, you're going to find at least a couple of people if you reach out to 30. Yeah. But if you don't, you're increasing the chance that you could just get unlucky. And that happens. Some people get lucky and they hit the lottery in the first call. Right. Yep. But you got to make enough calls to overcome potential bad luck.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Outstanding. Awesome. And as well, I know we've got quite a few live viewers here. By the way, we are broadcasting live here on the 15th of November, about 3:15 Central, 4:15 Eastern. So if you're on the live broadcast, most people will see this recorded. But if you're on the live broadcast and want to ask questions, feel free to ask questions in the chat box, and I'll relay that to Jay here as we go through. So that's number 2. What's number 3 on your list of? I can't think of it, how you term it. Number 3 on the list of things not to do.
Failure habits. Yeah, this is
failure habits.
The 4 things that to do if you want to make sure that you fail in Ambit Energy. These are the things to avoid. And so to look at if you look at what every single person has in common that doesn't make it, and you do the opposite, that's how you can become successful. So like we said, number 1 is they try the business versus do the business. Number 2, they don't build a proper list of names. They don't take their list of names seriously. Initially at 10 to 20 or 30 is fine, but at some point they need to build beyond that. The 3rd habit is they sell the business. They beg versus share. They sell it to their friends. They try to pitch it. They try to get people to do it. So you could say sell versus share, or beg versus share. So that was a train, by the way. That wasn't me really driving home. So anyway, so that number 3 is it's important to understand, and I use the analogy of if you bought a brand new car and you drove it over your best friend's house and you knocked on the door and you said, "Hey, I want to show you my new car. It's in the driveway. You got to check this thing out." And he said, "Nah, that's okay. I'm not interested in looking at your car." And he closed the door on you. That would seem weird. And it needs to seem that weird when you're sharing your business with people. And when we're not selling it, it's easier to understand that you're just sharing with your friends. So if I'm saying, "Hey, Sean, I'm working on a business project. When can we do coffee? I got to run something by you. I got to tell you what I'm working on." It doesn't matter to me if he's interested. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to pitch him or sell him, or I'm not saying to him, "Sean, hey, you know what? You're a brilliant guy. You're somebody who's an amazing communicator. You have a huge sphere of influence. I would love to show you. Maybe this, I think you would be great at it." I'm not telling Sean what he's going to be great at. I'm telling Sean what I'm excited about, in the same way that I would say, "I bought a brand new car. It's in the driveway. You got to check this thing out. Come check the car out." So begging versus sharing. So really it's a topic of posture. Mm-hmm. And executive consultant Tony Procopio has a phenomenal talk on the topic of posture and what it is and what it isn't. And it's about an attitude. Sometimes it's not what you say. It's how you say it, and the attitude that that people see in you and that they're attracted to. And that's it's about it's not begging, it's not selling or pitching them. It's being excited about the business yourself and then sharing it with somebody because you like them, because you see something in them. That's fine, but you can't cross that line and try to make them interested. You have to own it yourself and share it with them.
That is so, so true. And just to give it a bit of a different angle or spin, I think you said it. You got to be yourself. If you call up people that you know and they know you, and all of a sudden you're a different person when you're now you should be a different person in the sense that you should be excited, and they should sense some conviction, some excitement. But you can't be a different person in the sense that all of a sudden you turn into this, pushy, slick back, greased used car salesman.
Right. Yep.
You're talking to people and you should come across as a friend. Like you say, it makes all the difference in the world. So, and that is everything to have that confidence, that posture of knowing what you're there to accomplish. You're just there to share. And that's a great analogy. I've never actually heard that one, talking about the excitement of, not being the used car salesman selling the car, but being the person that just got a new car and you're excited to share it and show it off a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
It's a really interesting perspective I've never heard before. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate it. It makes sense to me because it's authentic, and it's something that when you're excited about something, it gives someone permission to two things. Number one, to be excited about it themselves, but number two, it makes them not have to be on the defensive. If you're selling them, then they're all of a sudden they become a buyer. And what happens when people are buyers is they have an automatic response. They cross their arms and they say, "Let me think about it." Or
they put their guard up big time.
They put their guard up. It's like going into a retail store and and what happens when the salesperson says, "Can I help you?" Everyone says, "No, thank you. I'm just looking." But if you go into the high-end retail stores, they say, "Have you been in the store before?" They say, "Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Nice to see you." And they just welcome you. They start a conversation with you. And so you don't have the knee-jerk automatic response of, "No, thank you, just looking." And so what you're trying to do is eliminate some things that we know are going to happen. And if you pitch and sell somebody, they're automatically not going to be interested. So that's a common mistake. And that number 3 is a big one, because a lot of times people will tell us in our business, "Oh, I've already talked to them. They're not interested." And 9 out of 10 times when someone's fairly new and they don't understand this concept, they haven't talked to the person, they just talked to them. They didn't share the opportunity with them, because we happen to know that that a lot of people that see the full presentation properly are going to be really excited about it. But most people are not going to be excited about it if you're just talking to them about it and trying to sell them and pitch them. "Sean, you got to do this thing. This would be great. Hey, da, 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 da." That's not how you do this business.
Absolutely. So that was number 3 on the list of deadly sins to avoid in Ambit Energy.
Yes, exactly.
What's number 4 on your list, Jay?
Number 4 is quit. And it's something that we know that quitters never win and winners never quit. It's a habit that people have. Now, they're not going to sign a resignation paper, but what happens is they'll either shut their website off, or stop going to business presentations, or stop plugging into the team call or the webinar. They sort of acquiesce out of the business. They back away from the business. And when isolation and inactivity are the two things that will absolutely cause attrition. So it's isolation and inactivity causes attrition. Remember that. So you can't isolate yourself. You've got to stay plugged in to the activity and to the leaders, and that's what's going to keep you going in the business. Everybody has ups and downs, peaks and valleys. That's what it's all about. But association is key to this business. And if you quit, you never know if the one person that you talk to about Ambit Energy, the one person that didn't even become your customer, next year or 2 years from now might want to change their life financially. And that could mean $500 a month, or $1,000 or $2,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month in residual income for you a year or 2 or 3 years down the road. It could mean dramatic, life-changing opportunity for one person. So if you've talked to one person about this opportunity, you really, as a leader, if you see yourself as a leader, hang on, even if it's by a thread, and make sure that you plug into all the events that you can, because those events eventually will lead you to higher ground.
Absolutely.
Don't quit.
Since I know we've both been around a couple of years here in Ambit, we could probably spend the next couple hours sharing stories about people on our list that we've been dripping on for years, or months or years, and it took that long for them to come around, and the timing in their life to change to where they were open to the business. And that's the magic, that's the staying power that you have when
Yes.
you don't quit. And those people, it's just a matter of time.
Yes.
For them to come around and their life situation to be where they're open.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yep.
So awesome. So just to recap, the 4 deadly. I'm sorry. I like calling them the deadly sins.
That's good. I love it. So the 4. Here we go. The recap is this. Number 1 is try versus do. People that don't make it have an attitude of I'm going to try it versus the intention of I'm doing it, I'm getting it done. It's the will versus skill. They're going to say I'm going to do it. So it's try versus do is number 1. Number 2 is building a proper list of names versus a weak list of names. People that don't make it on a list and they never really expand that list and become serious at some point to where they make that list big. The third one is they beg people to see the business. They beg people to get in. They talk about the business, but they don't share the business from a position of posture. So it's beg, sell versus share, or beg versus share. Okay, that's the third. And the fourth thing is quitting. You can't quit. And the sort of 1 and 4 go together, right? If you start with the intention that you're going to do it, you're not going to quit. So this can't be, number 1 can't be shaky. And then if number 1 is solid, then number 4 is not going to be there as well. And then we'll be able to celebrate each other's success at higher levels each step along the way.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing. And a couple quick things to wrap with. One of the things we're actually, part of the reason we're talking today and doing this interview is we did a little sound and video check for our live broadcast tonight. And I would love to have you just share real quick why you're excited to be a part of our broadcast and what it's about and what it's for.
Well, I'm excited because I am here in Westchester County, New York, and there's people all around the country that I'm going to have an opportunity to look directly at people that I wouldn't have a chance to look at without this technology. And I'm going to be able to tell them how great this business has been for me and how this opportunity has been life-changing for me. And it allowed me to spend the last 12 months of my mom's life with her if I had a job, I wouldn't have been able to take 12 months and just focus on spending time. I wish my mom was still here, but I thank God that this business allowed me to spend quality time with my mom without worrying about paying any bills and without having to ask anybody for permission for time off. I want to tell that story because maybe there's somebody that needs that freedom in their life. And maybe I can make a little bit of a difference for somebody that's outside of where I can be right here. So I want to take advantage of this technology to reach more people. And that's why I'm excited to be a part of whatever you're doing, Sean. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. And just to wrap with some technicalities about the broadcast here, every Tuesday, of course this week Jay is our special guest this evening, but every Tuesday we've got a top leader and we broadcast live at 7:45 p.m. Central. I'm sorry, I should start with Eastern. 7:45 p.m. Eastern and 7:45 p.m. Central Time. We do a live close for your home meeting, your small group meeting, your one-on-one, whatever it is. We broadcast live 7:45 p.m. Eastern and Central Time every Tuesday evening with the top leader. And it's an opportunity for you to host an event, a home party, launch party, in-home, whatever you call it. Host a home meeting, click play at 7:30 on the video. That way by 7:45, the video's over, you switch over to the live broadcast, and we've got a live top speaker, nationally recognized name in Ambit Energy to close out your gathering, whatever it is. And we're going to do it every week, probably almost 52 weeks a year, but barring holidays. We took the election night off. But we're real excited about this tool, and certainly hope people take advantage of it to host home meetings on a more regular basis and to grow your team across the country. Because, of course, as you mentioned, Jay, there's no limit to who we can reach with this technology of broadcasting live on YouTube. So we're super excited about it. I appreciate you being a part of it here this evening. Jay, and one other quick thing, I know one of the reasons that we got in touch is because We've got this tool, Energy Gold Rush, that's kind of the sponsor of these live broadcasts. And it's something you've used here and there over the past year or so, and we just talked a little bit more about some of the updates we had. If you would, maybe share with those that are listening, why Energy Gold Rush is a tool that you use and why you're excited about it.
Well, it's the video presentation on Energy Gold Rush. It includes so many different people from different teams and different ethnicities that personally I like seeing all the different people in different backgrounds. It allows anybody who sees the plan to relate to that video. And I've done big meetings, I've done one-on-ones, and I've used the tool for that as well. But the other thing that I'm not really a super techie guy, but I appreciate the functionality that allows us to track if people are seeing the video at some point in the future. Obviously, you can send someone a link to the video through Energy Gold Rush, and you can see how far along they've gotten the video presentation, so you know whether or not they've actually seen the video and how far along they've gotten in the video. But then the other tool, the other component of it, is what if they click that link a week from now or 2 weeks from now, and maybe they didn't look at it fully right there, but then they started to look at it again. It allows you to see who's doing what, when, in real time, and that's a great tool.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And those of you that are checking it out, maybe you are familiar with Energy Gold Rush, maybe you're not. If you're not, you can just go to energygoldrush.com and learn more there. There's also, we got a promo code going on right now for a 330-day trial. That code is NOV for November, EGR, NOV EGR. You can use to give it a dry run for 30 days. So thank you so much, Jay, for being on. Looking forward to having you on live tonight for the broadcasts. And thank you all for those of you that happened to get lucky and tuned into the live interview here. So all the best. We'll see you here on our next broadcast.